Hi, welcome to the video. We're about to make a lobster bisque. So to make that recipe, I'm going to need some lobster body. Lobster body is being cleaned and removed from all the gills. I have some shrimp shell here. I cooked some shrimp a couple days ago. I kept the shell in the freezer and now I'm going to add them to it. It's going to give a nice flavor. A mirepoix of carrot, onion, celery. Some tomato dice. Some garlic. Mixture of herb, basil, thyme and rosemary here. At one point I'm going to do a little flambé with some brandy. Going to add some white wine. And here's some chicken stock that I have. Okay? I will add also, I don't have it here, I'll get it after. I'm going to add a spoon of demi-glace. A nice demi-glace that I have. I'm going to add it to it to give it a nice, a little bit more kind of flavor, I would say, meaty flavor, which is good with a lobster. First thing, we're going to brown our lobster body and shrimp shell together. Okay, so I'm going to heat up my pan here. I want it nice and hot, and I'm going to add some olive oil, and here we go. Make sure it's nice and dry. Put a nice amount of olive oil here. I'm going to add my body. Here the bodies, I have a lot. I'm actually going to do it in 2 batches. I don't want to overcrowd the pan because I want to develop a nice color here, and if I put too much at once, everything's going to cool down, it's going to stew, and this is not what we want. Okay, I'm going to add more. That much here. Brown that well. So you see how it's turning nice and orange here. I'm going to let it go more. See, there's still moisture in the bottom of the pan here, and I want to get rid of that moisture. I want to kind of all reabsorb that moisture into my bodies here to retain as much flavor as possible. And to cook them well, this is very important. You don't want to rush that. Okay, so I'm going to remove those and I'm going to do another batch here. Okay, this is good. Now we are going to do the mirepoix. We'll brown that mirepoix well. Same technique. Let it red. Nice amount of oil for our mirepoix. Okay, and the mirepoix goes in. Give it a little stir. So what I'm going to do at that point, I'm going to do a little salt here, just a tiny bit of salt. It helps the vegetable to break down, to release the moisture faster. Little salt. Just a little bit, you don't want to put too much. Now, we'll check the seasoning at the end. Again, this is something you want to let cook for a good amount of time, you know, we need to break down those vegetables. You want to achieve a little bit of color, not too much, but a little bit. And that's going to give a nice flavor to your recipe. Those in the bottom here are what we call the sucs. See, those are our sucs, and there's flavor here. And I want to release them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all those vegetables on top of it. They're going to steam, and you'll see that after is going to release it onto the vegetable. Those are nice and brown now. I'm going to add back my lobster body into that. I'm going to stir it well. Okay, so everything is been colored nice here, all mixed together. I've been cooking it before adding any liquid to it a good 15 minutes now. So after I add the lobster body, you want to let it cook before adding anything around 5 minutes. So all those nice flavors combined together. It's very important. So now what we are about to do, we're going to flambe. I'm going to add my brandy to that, and it's going to flame. Okay? So that's an induction burner. Usually you might do that on your gas stove, and the flame is right under it. Well, I will always suggest that you turn off that flame on your gas stove if you're using that when you're going to flambe, so you don't take a chance as you put your brandy here that it flame right away, because a little bit of it goes on the side and up, and if you're too close you may burn yourself. So if you shut that burner off, it's better. Me, this is how I do it. I'm going to have a lighter here, and that's really what I need. And my brandy. And I'm using a wooden spatula. Very important, because you see the technique I'm going to use right now. For that technique, I need a spatula. Here it's in wood. Wood is better. You're going to understand why. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pour the brandy on the spatula here. I'm going to lift the spatula, and everything goes in flame together. Here you have your nice flambe. Here you have your nice flambe. Okay? Beautiful. So if it flames for too long, you have to make sure it doesn't burn everything here, of course. Okay, now I'm going to add the white wine. The brandy completely reduced. I add my white wine. I'm going to let it cook 3 to 4 minutes with the white wine. Then I'm going to add my stock, and if needed, I'm going to add some water to it. At that point, if you want, you can add your garlic, your tomato. I'm also going to add my saffron, a nice pinch of saffron here. Like that. And I'm going to add some tomato paste. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. There we go. Voila. Start to smell very, very good. Okay, so it's been cooking for 3-4 minutes. I'm going to add now my chicken stock. You could add fish fumé if you want. Sometimes I think it may make it a little too strong, so I go with chicken stock, and I complete here with some water. Okay. So now I want that to come to a full boil, and then I will reduce the heat and let it simmer gently for 30 to 40 minutes. I have to test it and see how it tastes, and if I get the flavor I want, I stop it and strain it. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to push those little button around the video. A like, leave me a little comment. That's always nice to get some comment from you. Anybody who have something they want to share, something they want to mention about the recipe, it's always a pleasure to get there. I'm going to add my herbs now. So that's some basil here that I have. Some thyme. Just going to leave it all. I will remove all that after when I strain it anyway. Little bouquet of thyme. And a little bit of rosemary. Not too much. Rosemary could be pretty strong, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit. And of course, some parsley here. I'm going to put all that like that inside. And I'm going to add also, I talked to you about that earlier, this is some demi-glace. but I have in my freezer, I always have demi-glace in my freezer. I have 2 nice cubes of it here, and I'm going to add that to it. That's going to bring a nice extra flavor, I would say, which I don't mind. If you don't have any, don't worry about it, I would say, mini chefs. You know, if you have it, put it in. If you have some veal stock, you could put a little bit of it also, if you don't have demi-glace. So we're waiting for it to come to a nice simmer here. Okay, so it comes to a simmer now. I'm going to lower it and let it cook gently. You do not want that to cook too fast, because you will evaporate too much of the liquid and you will lose some of the flavor. So if at one point you see that you have too much of lobster body coming out, you may want to add a little bit more water to it to cover them. They should be covered all the time while they cook. It's very important. A good thing to do too is to skim. See, there is some skim here. You want to remove that from it. Skimming your stock. We always want to skim our stock, so after we can get some nice clear sauce out of them. If I leave all that in it and I let it cook with it, then my sauce going to be, my stock's not going to be as clear as I want it. I forgot. I added, but I didn't catch it on camera. I put 5 black peppercorn inside here. I forgot before. Smells good. Okay, it's cooked, huh? Now we're going to strain that. It's cooked. It's been cooking for 45 minutes exactly here. I tested. It's got a nice little flavor. Now, to make that lobster bisque, I'm going to strain that through my colander here. If I was to make a lobster stock and I wanted to keep it nice and clear, I would use a china cup for it. This is how I do it in the recipe I have on how to make a lobster stock. It's exactly the same as a lobster bisque in the step, but at that step we had stopped. Now I'm going to take it to a lobster bisque, so I'm going to strain it into that here, because it's okay if I have some pieces of those vegetables that cooked in here or whatever that come down here. It'll be good for that lobster bisque. Sometime I may put that everything here in a blender, blend it all to make my lobster bisque. But here I have a lot of lobster body, so I don't want it too strong too in lobster flavor, so I'm going to strain it this way. Then later on I may strain it into a fine mesh. I will strain it into a fine mesh. That's the finished product. Now we're going to move that around to make sure that all the juices come down here. So that takes a good 2-3 minutes to do, if you really want to get as much flavor as possible. Okay. So now I'm going to put back those lobster body here. Here I have a lot of flavor still. I could do what we call a remouillage. It's when we remoist the ingredient of a stock after we make it, because there's still a little bit of leftover flavor. So you could add some water to that, let it boil or let it simmer for 15-20 minutes, strain it, and keep that juice that you get here that has some lobster flavor already onto it now for your next preparation, your next lobster bisque, for example, or a fish soup that you want to make. You know, there's many things you could do with that. But me, what I'm going to do here, because I'm making a lobster bisque, I'm going to add some cream, heavy cream, into that. And the way I'm going to do that, that cream, I'm going to add it first. I'm going to cook it a little bit with all that to get all that flavor that's still left inside here. Okay, so my cream, here I have 2 cups of cream. And I'm going to cook that together a couple minutes. And then I will strain that with the rest here. You don't want to cook it too long here because you don't want the cream to reduce, huh? So that's been cooking here for a good 3-4 minutes. I'm going to strain that now over the rest. All right. Inside here. Again, you press it through. Now everything goes back here, and we're going to let it cook to reduce nicely. Okay. I'm going to add a little pinch of saffron to that. A little pinch of saffron. It's gonna go right here. Nice flavor, nice color. Later on it's gonna be beautiful. Kind of a color of a nice sunset somewhere. You see what I mean? So we're going to let it come to a simmer and let it cook till it's nice and what we call nappen. Nappen is when it coats the back of a spoon. Okay, this is a sign that the sauce has a nice texture, consistency, and should have developed some nice flavor to get to that consistency. Okay, so I will show you that, the nappen. Now you may see a little grease coming on top here. That's all the fat in which we cooked our lobster and our vegetable. You could skim it off if you want, if you're worried about calories. If you're not, you should leave that. And we're going to blend everything later on together because there's a lot of flavor and it's fat, and fat has a, bring that nice mouth feeling sensation with it good in a dish like a lobster bisque, because it gives it some, make it unctuous. Not sure if I said that right. So your choice. Me, I'm going to leave it. So it comes to a boil, I lower the heat and I let it cook slowly. So talking about nappen, you see I'm taking my spoon here, I go inside and it should nap the spoon well. Does it do that now? No. So I want to make sure there's a nice coat of that bisque on the spoon before I stop it. This is a sign that it's ready. Test it and see how it tastes for now. Nice. I'm going to finish it later on with a tiny touch of cayenne and a little splash of nice cognac here, and finish it with some salt. That is when I'm going to blend everything together. It's getting closer. Okay, so one last check. See if it's nappen. This is nappen. You see I coat the spoon very well. This is a beautiful nappen. This is ready. Nice texture here. I'm going to check it. Very good. I'm going to put it into a blender and we're going to blend it. just to make sure that all those flavors combine well with it here. Okay, so we blend it. Whoopsie. Good. So we're safe to put a lid on it, okay? Now, I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne to it, to the tip of the knife, a splash of brandy, cognac. Here we go. So, serve that in a nice little bowl here. Beautiful. Up. I'm going to finish it with a little bit of chopped parsley. Just got a nice color on it. If you had some little pieces of lobster meat, you could put them into it. You know, little crouton, those are nice too. Here, a little parsley. This is our nice lobster bisque. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know. And I hope you watch more of my videos. Thank you.